Adam Amin will call the game, national ESPN radio. Now, he had an epic costume on last night for West Virginia Baylor, along with my Dub V brother in there, Pat McAfee. Hasselbeck looked all right, but McAfee steals the show wherever he goes, that guy. He's Dub V all the way, and they lost last night to Baylor. But Adam Amin had the call for ESPN TV. He'll be on ESPN Radio this Sunday for Eagles and Bears, and he joins us now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. That was a great costume. You pulled it off well.
I feel bad, though. Like, I had some friends going, hey, tell me you stuck with the mustache, because that was the first time in my entire life I've had a mustache for an extended period of time. 12 hours, I think it was about. But I admittedly shaved it off like 18 seconds after I got back to the hotel last night.
So that was an action. That was a real mustache?
That was a real mustache, yeah. So Hasselbeck was the one who convinced me. I was like, the thing came with a wig and a mustache. And I got to tell you guys, I left it in the hotel room in Waco, Texas, in the corner. It looked scary. They both looked like dead animals.
On the corner.
Like a caterpillar and like a dead raccoon in the corner of a hotel room in Waco, Texas right now. So
wow.
Hasselbeck was the one who convinced me. He's like, I think you've got enough there to just go natural. So I shaved it yesterday before our production meeting. And I looked, I was like, you know what? I think it works. So we went with it, and we had a great time. Everybody was all in on it. We had a blast.
It was great. It was a lot of fun. The funny part is I'm a WV grad. I'm watching the game, and I'm like, who's the guy? Like, at first I'm thinking, man, Hasselbeck's really trying to be trendy. And then I'm like, wait a second, these guys are wearing costumes. So like, I kind of got thrown off for a second. I was like, man, he's really trying hard to be trendy here. I'm like, wait a second, no, this is Anchorman. Like, the whole, McAfee pulls it off great. You guys did a great job on the broadcast last night. But I guess you had to travel from Waco to Philly. Tell us about that day. What's that travel day like?
Well, what's nice is because we got the day in between, I'm home right now. I'm in Chicago, commiserating with every other Bears fan that saw last week's game. I did last week's game too, here in Chicago when they lost by 1. So I get to at least be at home for a day. Then we're going to come out and I'll probably hit up Tony Luke's tomorrow, and then we'll do the game Sunday.
So what's the story in Chicago? What's going on with this team as to why they're 3-5? And really, I guess their season's pretty much in peril. I mean, they lose this game, they're in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that this is where the Bears were at a year ago, right? They were 3-3 going into week 8, and it felt, or week 7, and this felt like, all right, this could still be something. There's a lot different of a feel in the city now. It feels like this year when they're 3-3, even if they win that game and they're 4-3 a week ago, it didn't feel good. I think a couple people in Chicago this week said it almost felt like that missed field goal by Pinheiro was the football gods telling the Bears, you don't deserve to win this game after you get into the red zone 4 times and you don't score a single touchdown, and the offense, at times, admittedly, looked like the Keystone Cops in portions, especially at the end of the first half and at the end of the second half. So it just feels a little bit different this year, and it's strange, right? We had the Chargers and Bears last week. We got Bears-Eagles this week. All 3 of those teams are playoff teams. I think all 3 of them were 12-win teams a year ago, if I'm not mistaken. All playoff teams a season ago. And a year later, and this is the NFL, I understand it, it's a cyclical league, and this happens often, and you guys know that, being in the NFC East, it seems like it happens every single year where somebody else is winning the division. It feels like this is just one of those years where nothing is really pointing towards a positive trend, and it does seem like there was a significant level of regression, and that was the big fear going into this season. Now, regression doesn't mean you win 10 games instead of 12. Regression is you start to take steps back because you're trying to do more than you did a year ago with personnel that maybe doesn't seem prepared for it or isn't responding to it. And I feel like that's the case right now in Chicago, in particular on the offensive end.
Hey, Adam, what's going on? Jeff Mosher. How you been, man?
My man, great to hear your voice, brother.
You too, man. One of the things that you just said that we were talking about earlier was, and I was making the point that the Bears last year were kind of that classic team that improved. They brought in a new coach, new philosophy, got Khalil Mack, and also had a pretty weak schedule. I mean, they had a couple of last-place teams from them being a last-place team, but, they also played the Jets. They played the Giants. The Packers and Vikings weren't as good. The Bucs they played last year, the Dolphins they played last year, And I feel like we always say we do that. We say regression, or they're just not as good, or the coach isn't doing as good job. But I think the reality for them this year is that their division, those two teams that were down a little last year, obviously the Vikings and Packers are very good, and then they've played some teams. And you even look forward after this Eagles game. I mean, Detroit's not easy. Then they got the Rams. They'll have the Cowboys. They'll have the Packers again. The Chiefs at the end of the year. This might be one of those years where they're at the end of the year. It's like, man, how did we even win 7 games, if that?
Yeah, and that was the other thing too. Like, people were asking me. I do the Bears preseason games too, so I get a lot of those. I go a lot of those storylines before the season begins, and that was the big thing. Like, listen, they won 12 games last year, but Green Bay wasn't healthy. Minnesota was a train wreck at times last year, trying to figure out their offense, and Detroit was just kind of middling. You know, beat the Patriots early, and then look kind of weak the rest of the season. I didn't think that was going to be the case this year. We figured Green Bay was going to be better because Rodgers is healthy. That's half the battle. When Aaron Rodgers looks and feels fully healthy, which this year he seemingly has been, they're going to be good. They're just be better. Plus, that young defense is a year older, and they seem to be playing a lot better this year. We figured Minnesota was kind of at a tipping point, and, you know, credit to them. They've figured it out offensively, and after the Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen issues, it seemingly is working really well with Cousins and his guys the last few weeks. So I figured that at some point these teams were going to take, and not even a step forward, they were just going to progress to the mean that we expected from them. And at some point the Bears would have to regress, maybe not towards the mean, but maybe take a little bit of a step back because of the division being better and the schedule, again, being super, super tough. So, I mean, and that's because of the cyclical nature of it. Anytime you look at the preseason, oh, well, they've got the 23rd ranked schedule or the 14th ranked schedule this season. That's really hard to predict because you don't know what these first 6 weeks are going to be like when guys are either hurt or fully healthy, adjusting to new coaching staffs, adjusting to new teammates, and you really don't know what a team is going to be until you get about a month and a half really into the season. We're a little bit past that point now, and we're starting to get a sense of what these teams really are.
Does it seem to you that because the Bears have had more deficits and they're not playing from the lead like last year, that Matt Nagy has tried to scheme around Mitchell Trubisky's deficiencies, and that's tougher when they have to throw to get back into games?
I think that's a byproduct of it, yes, because we saw it last week. And Matt Nagy, you know, for those who were kind of on the periphery of this, basically after they ran the football 7 times against New Orleans, and Matt Nagy got ripped by the Chicago media and said, like, listen, we need to run the ball more. I know that. I'm not stupid. And Matt Nagy is not an idiot when it comes to scheming offenses. Not at all. I have a lot of respect for the guy. I know, you know, he's an Andy Reid guy. I imagine people in Philadelphia understand it. At the very least, he's mind when it comes to offensive football and comes from a good tree for that. But you also have to understand that this is an offense that isn't necessarily built right now to the particular skill set of Mitch Trubisky. And that's talking with a bunch of other former NFL quarterbacks, talking to coaches about this. It doesn't seem like, and I don't know football compared to Matt Nagy. I would never compare our knowledge base or anything like that. It just seems like on the outside looking in that this offense isn't necessarily built for its personnel right now. The skill position guys might be the perfect guys for this offense. The receivers are outstanding. I think Cohen and Montgomery are a good 1-2 punch. It felt like Jordan Howard, this is why he was traded away, because maybe he didn't necessarily fit the scheme. Well, now I'm looking at it now where everybody's saying, well, Matt Nagy needs to run the ball a little bit more, and he's trying to establish the run. I feel like Jordan Howard would be much more of an improvement right now in the running game, although Montgomery had a good game last week. I agree with you, Jeff. I do think there's a scheme issue right now. I don't think there's a lot of faith in the offensive line. Granted, with Kyle Long hurt, that is a significant factor. But I don't think this offense is necessarily tailored to the exact traits of what's going on with Mitchell Trubisky.
So, Adam, having said all of that, you have the issues and the scheme issues and the Trubisky questions and the coach questions. So in Philadelphia, a lot of the concerns and the lead story has been the Eagles secondary. And the secondary is getting healthier right now. But from your standpoint, which weak unit is going to win? Is Trubisky going to win the battle against the Eagles secondary, or is the Eagles secondary going to be able to do enough to get the Eagles a W?
Yeah, I mean, to not have fully healthy Andrew Sandejo and to be cycling through a couple different corners. I think Avonte Maddox is supposed to be back from that neck injury. So I think that'd be the first time that all those guys are together this season. So maybe that helps if Maddox is indeed healthy enough to go. Maybe that helps that back end a little bit. The receivers can win. The Bears receivers can win. It's whether or not Mitch Trubisky, who was a middling deep ball thrower a year ago, can improve on that number. Now, we saw flashes of it, right? That play to Allen Robinson on the final drive against Philly in the wild card game, that's the type of throw that we would love to see on a consistent basis if you're a Chicago Bears fan, right? That deep ball that's accurate, that's only in the catch radius of a receiver. But a lot of those throws, even the catch that Allen Robinson made on a long throw last week over a linebacker, I think it was Thomas Davis, maybe it was Denzel Perriman, he had to make a great play on it. We said, oh, what a great deep ball, but you take a second or third look at it, it's really Robinson going and making the play. So I think those types of throws, if they're on target, I think these receivers are good enough to win against almost any secondary in the NFL. I just don't know if you're going to see that consistently, and I think having Maddox back might be a little bit of a boost, maybe the boost that Philadelphia's back end needs.
Adam Amin, he'll call the action with Sean O'Hare and Sal Palantonio on the ESPN national feed. And, of course, the Eagles and Bears. A big one, 3-4 Chicago, 4-4 Philadelphia. And you can hear that action. And the 1 o'clock kick for Eagles-Bears. We'll have 5 pair of tickets for that game to give away. We'll give you a chance to qualify coming up. But, Adam, first, we appreciate you jumping on board.
Anytime, boys. Appreciate you.